2023 was a game-changing year for Valorant esports. Not only would this be the first year of the partnered leagues, but the Tier 2 system would see a total overhaul as well. This year, the Tier 2 circuits across all regions would now feed directly into the partnership leagues. Here in North America, 12 teams would battle and compete for the chance to secure 2 spots in the America's Ascension tournament. There, they will meet 2 LATAM and 2 Brazilian representatives. 6 teams, 1 spot. It sounds simple enough, right? Well, strap in and welcome to North American Challengers. The layout for the season is relatively simple. Starting with Split 1, 2 groups of 6 will compete amongst each other, with the top 4 in each group being invited to the mid-season face-off, where teams will battle for prize money, but more importantly, circuit points. From there, redrawn groups of 6 will compete amongst each other once more, in a second split. This time, however, the top 8-point earners throughout the season will be qualified to the playoffs, rather than the top 4 teams of each group. The last 4 remaining teams, those that accumulated the least amount of points, will compete in a relegation bracket. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Back in Split 1, through 2 weeks, things seem to be going nearly exactly as you would expect. The favorites seem to be asserting themselves in the opening weeks of competition, and the standing through 2 weeks are evidence of this. Speaking of favorites, we should probably talk about a few of the preseason favorites to sort of set the scene for the season. The Guard, M80, and Shopify Rebellion were the consensus top 3 preseason favorites to win Ascension. The Guard needed no introduction. The core 4 that had reached a Masters event last year stuck together, but there were some concerns about the loss of fragging power from Saya Player's departure. In addition to this, the team said goodbye to MCE, who was highly rated by the community and was endlessly praised by the team's IGL Valen during his tenure. Tex and Josh RT from NRG would fill these roles respectively, but have huge shoes to fill. Alongside the Guard, there was M80, a team assembled of premier Tier 2 talent, with the roster's core hailing from the former Ghost Gaming roster, as well as EU and Xander from NRG and V1. The talent was certainly there for this roster, but questions loomed about the team's coach Happy, who up until this point had never coached Valorant. Then there's Shopify Rebellion. Anyone who kept up with the circuit last year will most certainly recognize this core. Under the Luminosity Gaming banner, they serve largely as gatekeepers, beating the teams they should beat and losing to the teams they should lose to. With the teams and players that relegated them to gatekeeper status now in franchising, the opportunity was there, they just had to grab it. For now though, week 3 is kicking off, and oh look, it's one of our favorites in the Guard playing TSM.
So you've got Trent kind of playing forward alongside Tex in the cross. Next up then would be a player like Valorant, who falls very quickly, and all these shots are really clean from TSM, although Tex does take 2 before dropping. Jonah just trying to kill off time, but they are not in a position to watch over the spike. Kanpeki gets it to halfway. Can they get around the corner to stop him in time? Yes, they do, but the kill still comes out. It's Nature just off screen, able to take down the finals, and .03.
They don't have anything towards A lobby. They don't have any control of middle, so they still have to force the issue here at B. It's going to be to their detriment as Nature breaks through for the hat trick.
Starts in. TSM have to hold this from in the interior, and 7 completely whiffs, and the Guard, oh, they tee off. Oh, but he's getting chewed up a little bit by the Nanostorm. Halfway it goes. 7 holds the line. 7 trying to hold the line even further. Has to step in. Corey on the defuse. Trent can't get there in time. What a heroic play from 7. 7 holding behind the double box. Don't die to the sentry turret. He won't.
In a rather surprising result, TSM knocked off the Guard in 2-0 fashion. Why was this such a surprising result? Well, TSM had just parted ways with Hayes, a veteran of the FPS scene, and replaced him with Kanpeki. This move came in spite of the fact that TSM were not performing poorly at all up until this point. On paper, this loss of veteran leadership seemed like it might cause a hit to the team's performance, but this was not at all the case. The team looked very good with Kanpeki in the lineup and finished their split 4-1, with their only loss being to M80. Also in week 3, we witnessed the debut of Moist Moguls, formerly known as Breakthrough, now backed by content creators Ludwig and Critical. On the other side of this matchup, Turtle Troops, the last free agent team in Challengers.
Crossfire to break down though, with Adder up top, although you would think so! No freaking way! 9 health. Has to hit a headshot. Brock is full 150 health. And he connects! Are you kidding? Adder, 1v1 with Flya. Flash will not land.
I promise you he's off.
Wow! And Adder takes the 1v1. Contact with Brock on the way. Shoulder seen. Oh my goodness. Shane tries to call off the Seekers, and Flya uses this as a chance to take down his teammate. Information for Tig at least onto one. Fakes the flash, eventually explodes, but it's Flya who gets 4.
Starting on Fracture, things looked great for Moist Moguls as they closed in on map point, and all they had to do was secure one more round to take the lead in the series.
Sim watching the cross at range, just 30 HP shut down. Governor also with the overdrive finds a kill, and once again Turtle Troop worked their way back in. Flya last one left, shut down, and Moist Moguls having a tough time securing these post plants.
But there's players on drop, and there's players willing to come out with the splash of the smoke to take the fight, and we did. Able to come through. He did, indeed.
Brock just has to give it a good old college try. The first one good, the transfer not there, and we're gonna go to overtime. Brock able to tally one elimination, working with Thief off the same angles, a 3v2. We didn't hold in the corner. Fault line out, but Tig challenges forward, and it's Turtle Troop.
Well, yeah, with momentum on their side, Turtle Troops closed out the series on their map pick, and minus 500Ks flooded into Ludwig's chat. Turtle Troop would continue their winning ways the next week, handing G2 what would ultimately be their only loss of the split. Group A was hotly contested, with every team still having a chance at the playoffs, even as late into the split as week 4. Over in Group B, things were much simpler, as the group ended up being rather top-heavy, with the top 3 teams trading wins amongst each other, and dominating the rest of the group. And domination is exactly what happened when M80 was pitted up against DSG in week 4. DSG was exceptionally popular. They were backed by streamer Disguised Toast, and he had live streamed the team's entire Valorant journey through open qualifiers. He introduced an entire new audience to Valorant esports. But the team wasn't popular because they were world beaters or dominant, but you knew that anytime they were playing, there would be a show going on in Disguised Toast stream.
Okay. Let's go, Exalt. Wait, what? What? Where's the ult?
I mean, he truly wore his passion for his team on his sleeve. When they were winning, he was on top of the world. And when they were losing, well...
Allow Koala to stay on this angle with the dash available. This operator just continues to ring here. We've seen aces in this position, and of course Koala wants it, but you talked about him before. Exalt's trapped in the corner. No more to worry about. Through the smoke he goes, and freaky things here. Just needs one more. Has the angle. Oh my god, Koala keeps doing it. Should thrive here on the defense. I don't know if it's going to be Exalt by himself here, falling asleep on the angle. Can Koala just to do it again. Completely seized up. The guy's got no health dust, and he does it again in the pistol.
The third one was bonkers, though. Like, the third one, I don't know how that happens. He just the guy. And there's Ace. He's been looking for
give it to
him.
him.
He's finally gotten it.
On to Nismo with that, and the Nebula. Block the angles here. Complete concealment, and now the 1v1 to commence, and it's Nismo out on top. Will finally get his time to shine.
Shortly after their crushing defeat at the hands of M80, Exalt would part ways with DSG. This was the beginning of the formation of cracks in the foundation of DSG, as Exalt was one of the members of the Pittsburgh Knights core that this team had been formed from. Things weren't all terrible, as despite this devastating loss, DSG were still able to make the midseason face-off, where they would find themselves matched up against M80. But we're getting ahead of ourselves, because M80 has a very important matchup with the Guard in week 5. The two favorites to win the whole thing, squaring off for the first time, the absolute best that Tier 2 of NA had to offer.
Flanks the flank. Xander stays alive on site. Flash over the top, trying to isolate Joe to P, but comes up empty, and the Guard will have a chance to plant, and the 2v2 is dead. It's him and his rival, 1v2. First one up top, tallies it relatively cleanly, and then the shot at range. Guard able to still tally up one elimination. Trent follows up on another hole. How does this happen? John and now EU, last one's left remaining, and Trent's just gonna do it all himself from stairs. And a lot of clearance already gotten from M80. Yoda looking for a timing, maybe a swing on a peak here, but no, Koala Noob takes him out of the picture. So now it's just down to can you shut down Koala Noob, who's now stepping even further forward, denying the post plant from his connector position off the flank. Oh goodness. But it just comes down to if you can get the tags through this cloudburst. Teammates are pinging for the spike, but they just both step off to stay alive. Give time for Tex to come back, and his Valen, he sprays down 2. Tex now around the back. Trent still working with.
The series in reality ended up being rather underwhelming. M80 would ultimately get the last laugh, as they would finish at the top of the group, but this loss served to bolster the narrative that the Guard were simply a cut above. Over in Group A, that team that cost Ludwig $500,000, yeah, they actually seemed to be doing pretty well for themselves. After their loss to Turtle Troops, they knocked off Shopify Rebellion in an absolute barn burner of a series.
Yeah, how about all 10 players here on this part of the map, pushing through the smoke? And Moist, again, completely unexpected, cannot get a read on this defense. We're back and forth, though, and somehow it's only the controllers. The chaos again. It usually goes away of Shopify. We'll see if Vic can get it done. No, it's Thief to do it this time around.
It's a 1v2. Fly out the last one here.
He needs to, flash right, fight left. That's exactly what he does with the spike gets planted. He knows he's close. He sprays him down, and Flya will do it. And Vic trades heaps of damage back and forth. Cosmic Divide available. There goes down the op, and the player walks away into tree. A tap onto the spike, and he's forcing Vic's hand here to try and peek, and Brock has done it. Moist have
This
done
series
it.
put all of their individual talent on full display, with Brock winning a 1v2 to prevent overtime and secure the third map for MXM. They concluded their split with a win over FaZe Clan and secured a spot in the mid-season face-off. To the fans that had been keeping up with the Tier 2 scene prior to this though, it was obvious that this roster was always supremely talented. Brock and Aproto were the two remaining members of that Ghost Gaming core, and Thief had extensive experience in the scene on rosters like Luminosity alongside Aproto, as well as the Kansas City Pioneers. The team also housed Flya of FaZe, who would serve as the IGL, and Sim, a young Tier 2 prospect and absolute aim demon. Needless to say, this team flew under more casual viewers' radars while they were playing under the Breakthrough banner.
Obviously, my entire team. I'm in Texas right now with one of my teammates, Thief, in his apartment. Everybody on my team, Brock is playing out of his mind. I mean, everybody is like, everyone on my team deserves it. The
However,
coach,
with more eyes than ever on them after signing with Moist Moguls, the team rose to the occasion and showcased the talent that they possessed. Wait a second. I just realized something. Earlier in the video, I said Shopify was one of the favorites to win the entire thing, and yet I've only mentioned them a single time, and they lost. Okay, I know it looks bad. 1-4 in Split 1 after coming in with a core that is not only talented, but has boatloads of experience playing together. But let me explain. Here are the score for deciding maps in Shopify's 4 losses in Split 1. I'm sure you can immediately see what I'm getting at here. These maps are tremendously close, all of them being decided by just 2 rounds. In a different timeline, this Shopify Rebellion team could be 4-1 and well on their way to the playoffs. As for the teams who did make it, M80, Disguised, TSM, Moist Moguls, The Guard, FaZe, Oxygen, and G2. The first round saw a flurry of 2-0s, with the exception being Oxygen scoring a 2-1 upset over G2, who had just finished the regular season 4-1, but would now be immediately relegated to the losers bracket. G2 made some huge moves in the offseason before Challengers, coming over from EMEA to compete in NA. They assembled a team with tons of Tier 1 experience. Shazam, Dapper, and Penny were all in attendance at the first ever Valorant International event, but all of them had yet to reach that level of success since. Penny and Whippy had at points, in 2022, been favorites to make another international event, but they always seemed to fall short with that V1 squad. In addition to this core, ranked demon and mainstay of free agent rosters across Tier 2, Oxy would join the squad.
I think Oxy might be one of the best players I've ever coached. Aim-wise, he's incredible. He's probably the best aimer I've ever seen. His mentality is great. His determination is great. He listens to everything, and then having all the experienced players around him.
The player quality was certainly there, but what excited many more than this was seeing Shazam and Dapper in a quality team structure. G2 would bring in coach Imi from V1 and Danny, who had been a part of Sentinels in their last stretch as a team. Now for G2, it was do or die, as they would have to run all the way through the lower bracket, with every match from here having elimination on the line. They cleanly made their way through FaZe and Moist Moguls, only to meet Oxygen once more, with a trip to the lower final on the line. The series was tied up 1-1, but Oxygen would capture 8 rounds on their Ascent attack, seemingly putting G2 away. The key word there being seemingly.
The 2 classics still remaining, however. The Nanostorm still being popped. Dapper can still throw another one, but not anymore. Shazam! Oh! No, about that second person. Here comes the take, though. 2 players in the back of sight. Shazam and Penny. Penny does strike down on one. Penny looking for another one. Shazam has been revealed, but the kills do go back in the hands of G2. Such a cheesy spot. Like, come on. Mitch is going right in with the arrow drone. Come on. Swimming in the middle of the smoke, swinging out, only able to get one. Pony with the Blade Storm gets slapped down by Oxy. Could be pushing his team to the next round. Randy Savage, the last one remaining.
G2 came all the way back to finish the map 13-11 and punch their ticket to the lower finals, where they would meet The Guard. The Guard had lost to M80 earlier in the tournament, as Koala Noob went nuclear on map 3 to come back from 8-4 on Haven. The series kicked off with Split, and G2 was on the brink of losing their map pick.
Oh, that Cosmic Divide could actually go so massive here. Dapper could just wait. They walk through, waiting. Dapper, no, that's unreal. Finally gets Tex, can go for another one. Dapper going wild, 2 more on site. The guard scrambling to get the spike down, but with 8 seconds left, they just cannot cross. Bites him in the back. Here comes 2, 3 players out of ramp. Shazam just like that, taking away 2, giving his team the advantage, and yet another one. 1v2 for Nets, and he strikes on the first. Out in the open now is Nets.
No entry just yet. Trap gets broken, but there's Dapper. Of course there's Dapper.
Val in the last one remaining all the way out in the open, and Oxy stops them all.
A late game rally from G2 meant that this map would be going to overtime.
Looking to make the retake happen. Up close is Penny.
He had the right gun for it, but the Phantom doesn't work out. The trade comes in. The guard are clawing it back.
Who can't send a flash?
Any readjustment, further drop. There's Whippy.
G2 would take their map pick, but so too would the guard, forcing a map 3 in Ascent. A scary prospect for G2, given the guard's proficiency on the map. So after the guard picked up 5 rounds on their attack and strung together 6 in a row on defense, it seemed all but over.
He's gonna try to retake with his team. Out he goes, 2 and Jenny, 1 in the back of sight. The players for the guard. The swings are actually working, but Trent left now in a, oh my goodness, a 1v2. He heard the damage on Dapper though. Whippy's holding, no flashes against him. Whippy through the wall. 2 more players in heaven. Trent trying to go out. Big shot for Whippy. Neat and tidy Dapper. 1v1 versus his clone Net. Knows he's still in heaven. He's looking for the drop. Dapper dancing. Net trying to catch him.
Attackers win.
Another late game rally from G2, and they had ran it all the way through the lower bracket to a grand finals berth. Their matchup with M80 in the grand finals would truly be a tale of 2 halves. The first 2 maps were exceptionally close, with G2 scoring a map win on Ascent before M80 tied it up by winning Fracture. It appeared that we were in for a tightly contested series. However, the latter 2 maps were a totally different story. While the first 2 maps saw a totally even round differential, the last 2 saw M80 pull away by a combined score of 26-8. This team was dominant. Koala Noob, Nismo, and Xander gave M80 an extraordinary amount of pure fragging power. However, this team was never over-reliant on this fragging power.
Like having a good foundation with like mechanics and really talented players is obviously going to be good, but then building on top of that is always like the big part of it. So having that work ethic to like build on top of it is really important. I feel like we work like probably the hardest out of any of the challengers teams. Probably like the guards right beside us, and
they had a deep map pool, as demonstrated by this series with G2, and were consistently getting better. At this point in time, M80 were just a level above all the other teams and challengers. With the midseason tournament wrapped up and the circuit points distributed, the time was now for teams to make roster changes with hopes of competing with the top dogs. The biggest and most publicized roster move was that of Ye signing to DSG. Ye had been let go from Cloud9 just before VCT Americas was set to begin its first split, and his career had sat in limbo up until this point. Partner teams could simply not make roster moves, and thus Tier 2 was his only option. Nobody believed that any team in Tier 2 could afford him, but who better than Disguised Toast to make such a blockbuster move? Vanity, who also departed from that same C9 roster, would sign to Shopify Rebellion in place of Dazzle, who moved over to Turtle Troops alongside Rossi from FaZe. FaZe made the decision to cut Dicey as well as Rossi and field Tig and Mame in their place. OR Esports and Mad Lions, 2 of the bottom teams in Split 1, also decided that it was time to make some changes. Finally, there was Oxygen, who were seemingly playing the long game all season long, slowly filling their roster out with young players and prospects from OXG Academy.
I think teaching Redux, Verno, and Scuba isn't the hard part, to be honest. The hard part is to balance out the IGL and the coaching thing, to find a system that works for the entire team, and that's been our job, and we found that path real quick. So
they would eventually settle upon Mitch, Scuba, Verno, Rustin, and Redux as their finalized roster. Despite all these exciting changes to the landscape, all eyes were on DSG and Ye in their opening match of Split 2. Some believed that he would dominate the competition, while others feared that a combination of nerves, pressure, and rust could cause him to look worse than we all recall. In their opening match of Split 2 against Oxygen, It seemed as though the latter were correct.
Is able to get on top of the side, has a couple of guys in the corner with the paranoia, but he still can't find the frag.
No, it's Oxygen who get the first 3 kills, as you mentioned. It's all about having this setup. There's the flash, and clear will be taken down. But Oxygen still at a very significant disadvantage. Yay, taking away space.
No.
Oh, no, indeed. Verno.
Really didn't expect them to have that issue in the last round with the op. And dude, see you later. But now it does. But here comes the disruption from Disguise, looking to try to make some chaos happen. Ye gets up top. He's got his. What is that?
Ye was seen multiple times missing shots that would normally be a sure thing for him, and even though he began to warm up as the series progressed, by then it was all too late, and Oxygen had played spoiler to Ye's debut on DSG. This would end up being the first of many losses in this split, as DSG would end the second split at a dismal 0-5 record. What once looked to be a promising new team in the scene fell apart rather quickly, and as the losses piled up, the team seemed to be more and more unstable. However, this fall from grace was not even the biggest we would bear witness to this split.
The games so far this split have gone, well, pretty bad, but
as also in week 1, the new look OR Esports captured a win over G2, the runner-up in the mid-season face-off. From here, like DSG, G2 would not win a single game in the second split, with both teams having terrible round differentials as well, indicating that their losses were not even particularly close. The only bright spot for G2 and their fans was that the team had still garnered enough points earlier in the season to make the playoffs. However, their string of recent performances left little reason to be optimistic about their chances. In the places left by teams like G2 and TSM coming back down to earth, Oxygen and Moist Moguls would take their places as possible contenders to dethrone the likes of the Guard and M80. In fact, Moist Moguls would have a chance to do just that in week 3, as they would match up against the Guard.
Again, with Spike not planted, Flya, he's the one! Fine chilling in the back of sight, but now Flya has the 1v1! And almost goes away, 24 HP! Well timed from Valen, a Proto just burst out of the smoke! Oh my goodness! Valen, the captain, going up to the peak, and it's a Proto! Net on the flank, but a Proto knocks him down. A 3v3 now. There goes the defuse, but it gets shut down immediately. Valen on top, a great jump. Thief, the angle, a Proto! You cannot scrap this now. And indeed they don't. Moist
Moguls would capture a 2-1 victory over the Guard, but there's only one catch. The Guard was playing with their coach, Josh RT, in place of their primary duelist Tex. Moist Moguls would prove that this win was no fluke, as they closed their split 2 undefeated and seemingly put themselves into contention to win Ascension. With G2's downslide, it appeared that Moist Moguls had slotted right into their dark horse spot, an especially exciting prospect given the team's backing by 2 large streamers. As Split 2 came to a close, points were dispersed, but this time with huge implications. The bottom 4 point earners in the season would have to play for their lives in next year's circuit in the relegation tournament. Turtle Troops were clearly a cut above the rest of the teams competing in relegation, and if we look back at their results, we can see why. Had a couple matches played out differently, they could have made playoffs in both of these splits and not had to play in relegation at all. They cruised their way to a relatively easy qualification into next year's circuit. Meanwhile, yeah, Disguised, the team that signed Ye and once had so much promise, bowed out of the relegation tournament without taking a single map, marking their 11th straight loss. A truly tragic ending to the season for DSG. On to the playoffs, and round 1 served to reinforce what many had already suspected. M80, Oxygen, the Guard, and Moist Moguls all scored 2-0 victories in their opening matches. They had pretty obviously been a level above the rest of the competition. The way that the first round had panned out meant that Oxygen and Moist Moguls finally had the chance to prove themselves against the likes of M80 and the Guard. For Oxygen, things did not go too well, as M80 would continue their dominance over North America. On the other side of the bracket, the rematch everyone had been waiting for since their matchup earlier in the split.
Thief now in the 1v2 overall. Toggles the spike. Gets information on Jonah. Clean shots. Has maybe a look at the second. Net. Backs off. Comes back to it. Thief will clutch the 1v2 and Moist Moguls have arrived. Stack up in the corner. Guesses it incorrectly. Flash does connect though. 10 HP. Do you predict that Thief is in the same corner? He's looking for it. Oh, that's really the only thing that can stop this post plant. Oh, Valen gets to work, but only drops one. Jonah P, he's been so icy for his squad. Another 1v3 in front of him. Oh, the tags are good, but no. Brock. Proto. Oh my, wait a second. No way. Not like this. Rez comes out. Trent gets the shots. The flash is in. Thief for the 1v3. Jonah tags. It's just the shorty. He gets the first. Can he get the reload? He just self-mollies down on top of it. Jonah's at low health. He can't just step on it immediately. He's going to have to try to measure it, but no!
In a stunning result, Moist Moguls not only won the rematch between the two teams, but took an entire map less to do so, despite the guard being at full strength. The guard and Oxygen would be sent down to the lower bracket, but after a pair of 2-0 victories, were set to face off. And while Oxygen had done well to make it this far, the guard were simply too much to handle for them. Despite their season ending here, this team is still exceptionally young and exceptionally talented, and without a doubt has plenty of room to grow in next year's circuit. With the guard's victory, they would set up a rematch with Moist Moguls once again. The guard opened with a 10-2 half on Ascent, and while Moist Moguls were able to string together a few of their own defensive rounds, this really only served to delay the inevitable map victory for the guard, as they would go up 1-0 in the best-of-5 series. Heading into the next map, Fracture, the guard continued to build on their momentum, winning 9 rounds on their attack side. After they captured the pistol round in the second half, it seemed all but over for Moist Moguls on Fracture. The two teams would trade rounds, but a round 18 victory for the guard led to match point, and a 2-0 seemed to be all but secured.
Allows this information over, but the guard are so quick in this. Net will find one, it's grabbed back through the smoke.
2 rifles left to play with. Jesus, Flya, another through the smoke, and
looks to walk himself up. Beautiful ult there. It stuns just about everybody as Jonah P is left to just tuck away. A 1v1 of Proto, always good for this. A rifle in hand, but Net cannot equip in time. And it has been assumed, but here comes the backstab. Brock caught in the seas, and Trent can't get the kill. But on the backside, it's Valen to try and hold on, but Moist Moguls do it.
Moist Moguls battled their way back to a 12-12 scoreline. It seemed like this map could actually go in favor of Moist Moguls.
More flashes keep the attack at bay. Out comes the aftershock. Trent sees through it clearly. Smoke goes down. The first fight with Valorant cannot win it out. The guard, an early lead here in overtime. But that Prowler doesn't get Flya here, but there's 3 players around the corner. Flash a second too late, and he'll eventually be dealt with. Moist want to fight back for it. Jonah P takes 2 before falling, and Tex isn't done. He's still on the angle. Boombot's out. 2 players are just around the corner, and Moist have to fight to leave their spawn, but the crunch is here, and a Proto has to do it again. Swings out, spots 1. Again, the guessing game.
The guard showed absolutely no fear heading into overtime, catching Moist Moguls off guard with their aggression to close out the map. It was truly the guard's experience and resilience that prevailed in this series, and after they regained control on Fracture, they didn't let it go on Haven. Haven would ultimately spell the end of Moist Mogul's season, but the 3-0 scoreline was deceptive to how close this series truly was. Moist Moguls, who came all the way from the open qualifier and were once not even signed, have battled their way all the way to a 3rd place finish. And thus, we're back where it all began. Sometimes the favorites are a favorite for a reason, and M80 and the guard proved that they deserve their preseason hype. Like their previous meeting though, M80 proved to have a slight edge on the guard. Out of the 4 maps in the series, 3 of them were decided by just 2 rounds. And aside from the obvious outlier of Lotus, where M80 absolutely demolished the guard, it was evident that any given day, these 2 teams could take maps and wins off of each other. Ultimately, M80 would be the 1 seed and would be the definitive favorite to win the Ascension tournament for many. The guard was a close second, alongside a new challenger, the Union. At the Ascension tournament, the Union and M80 would be set to open the event. M80 were outclassed on Fracture, which would prove to be the Union's best map by far, but M80 had a chance to redeem themselves on Pearl.
A lot more push and pull to go. NTK still with a shock dart to use, and he's chipped down John QT to 50, and it's perfect. Ooh, the quick scope from Askia.
Did he catch his baby?
Almost.
He does.
Xander playing Ring Around the Rosie. Askia not able to find a pixel. But Koala Noob is just fine. There goes the shock. They can still go for the defuse. Koala in. John QT needs to hold. John QT goes
off
down.
of it.
It's not on half either. If this were down to half, who knows? but Koala Noob.
Is there time?
He has just enough. He has saved M80.
0.3 seconds.
At 12-12, it seemed like this series could end much sooner than expected.
But Goo, he's completely locked into the back, and he's actually able to get one here. How much more can he get? Rafa has the crossfire. Goo is still looking for more. Here comes Nismo. Pank around the corner, still looking for John QT. The shocks are here to try to rain down on the spike planter. But hold on a second here. Askia pulling back the round, but M80, they've somehow put themselves in the advantage. But look at the redirect. That was almost perfect. He even has the pull. Here comes Goo to pick up the kill. EU with no space. Goo only has to fight it. It's just a single bullet. Rafa holds on to it at a good time, and now the Union, they start to mow over M80.
An 0-2 loss in M80's opening match was unexpected, to say the least. Of course, the possibility of losing to a team as strong as the Union was always there, but few would have expected this match to be a 2-0. The Guard over in their group alongside 9Z and 00 Nation would win out with a perfect map score of 4-0, granting them a first round bye. And after the first round of playoff play, yeah, it just seems inevitable for these two teams to meet at every possible turn. This time was different though. It seemed like the Guard were peaking at just the right time, especially Net, who finished as the third highest rated player at the tournament when it was all said and done. They would defeat M80 2-0 in a series that never really seemed to be in doubt for them. Now it was the Guard's turn to take a crack at the Union. With a 12-9 lead on the Union's strongest map, a win here would set the Guard up quite nicely to capture the series.
To take down one, and now it is Askia in a 1v1 against Jonah P. What can he pull off here? The Rolling Thunder doesn't go in his direction. What can Net do here? Net pulls down one, pulls up the cam, and runs away. Pank rolling around, Jonah P going down.
Sees him.
Pank going absolutely off, getting a second Valen and Net now. The last two to go. The Union are now down to 3 on this site. This is possible here for the Guard. Askia holding things back again, though. But it is Goo to hold down 2, and Askia does the same. There's an incredible angle for Goo. What can he pull off here? Goo pulls up a 2. Needs another one to really make this round happen. But Tex and Valen.
The Union battled back to take Fracture in an intense overtime, and emotions were riding high into map 2.
Spike planted.
Trying to still gonna be safe, but this,
they didn't spot Net!
Are you kidding?
One angle for Askia, now one more to go. Trent, Askia, the two young guns, no!
Pank, this is gonna be his first time in a while actually facing an early round scenario,
and he gets shut down. But maybe they don't know. Maybe they don't know about Valen. Jonah P in spawn. They don't expect Jonah P. They don't expect Valen. There goes the picks. The Guard, the unpredictability gives them the 3 free frags.
The Guards stomped the Union on map 2 13-2, proving not just their proficiency on the map, but their ability to bounce back from even the most crushing of defeats. And bounce back they did, closing the series out 2-1 to punch their ticket to the grand finals. As for M80, they would have to run the gauntlet to set up a rematch with the Guard, playing both 9Z and the Union back-to-back on the very same day. While no opponent is ever to be taken lightly, especially in a LAN environment, it was clear since their very first meeting that M80 had their sights set on a rematch with the Union, and 9Z would not be denying that.
Nismo here to back him up onto the A site, but they've been dealt with now. Jonathan do it himself. Cloud burst down, he sneaks one onto Thule with one more player. No way, John Cutie goes huge for the clutch. Koala needs this. He is so incredibly healthy, but with 15 seconds, he's got to make a play. He continues to jump around, is waiting for the blaze and gets it done. A Zenny clutch for Koala Noob.
M80 had earned their rematch with the Union and a possible shot to match up with the Guard in the grand finals.
An expected one for Xander.
Xander wants some more, give him some more. 3 kills, looking for a fourth. They'll swap to the classic, the secondary gets it done. And numbers here as M80 look to close this one out. Sits down to the last 2 RVN. Has a bit of util to play with. John Cutie, low HP, will take the fight and win.
M80 cleanly took the opening map of Lotus 13-5, seemingly relishing in the fact that they were dominating the hometown team. The Union would obviously have to win Fracture to extend the series as they were down 0-1, but winning the map was crucial to their game plan as a whole. M80 clearly knew this, and thus likely put an abundance of work into counter-stratting and figuring out how to beat the Union on their home turf.
They've been enjoying this one. Xander finds the kill on Askia. Man, make it 2 with John Cutie. Also dancing the dance atop the side. It's 2-2. John Cutie. Now the operator gonna find a backstab. Knives online. Look at the util tossed out this way. Ult for ult as Koala goes up top. Speaking of up top on his wall is Rafa, the last one standing, and Koala Noob will deal with him. 4 kills. Askia, 46 HP. A sheriff for Johnny. Close it out last round. Tries to do it here. Pecho forces his hand, and John will get it done.
Needless to say, it worked, and M80 walked out of the lower final, allowing the Union to win just 8 rounds total in the series, utterly dominating them.
Yeah, I mean, we knew we were going to win. Going into the match, we knew we were going to win. Like, a week ago, we knew we were going to win against the Union. We just needed one more match. We were getting used to the seeding on the group stage. We needed one more match against the Union, and we knew we were going to talk. We're going to play to our heart's content, and we're going to beat them. They literally got to watch our match. We had to play 2 BO3s in one day. They had to watch our match, and they still lose.
It really could not have ended any other way. The Guard versus M80 one last time with everything to play for. In a shocking turn of events, it was M80 who found themselves up big on Ascent, holding an 11-4 lead over the Guard on their map pick. But you can never count the Guard out, especially not on this map.
And I thought they have to know that Net is in main now, just based on his utility being triggered, but it may not matter, knowing half the battle as Tex has already found one with the knives, and that is a 2-man advantage now for Guard. They get everything.
Just down to Koala Noob, and Tex will run forward onto him. EU is currently watching this angle, but this is all about what they see, what they hear. There's the push-up, but Net all collapses perfectly. EU gets caught off guard. Now it's just down to John Cutie. The status effects of the Rolling Thunder off the table. John gets one, but no way he turns and burns there. Flash is coming through. Tex has made his way on towards side. Nope, not gonna miss that one. Second chance, the flick not gonna quite land. Nismo's able to put him down. Net still holding deep, and Trent has made his way over with the Odin. Look at the reveal coming out from the Sova utility. Oh my.
Every M80 fan watching at home is likely sweating bullets right now, as the Guards seem to be forging a comeback.
Dark cover gets replaced. Net hears a lot of this. Actually gets tagged through the dark cover. Tries to work his way in. John Cutie gets the first one, and they reset. Tex with a shorty out, shut down. Xander's gonna get another. It's all down to Trent. Shock dart gets cued. Tossed out. Xander watching on the cross, and Xander gets 4 in total of the round. A 2v4.
Heroics from Xander at the 11th hour allow M80 to finally conquer the Guard on Ascent. But if you've ever watched the Guard, you'll know by now that this team does not lay down after a loss.
This surely cannot happen. Someone's got to hop onto it though, and Valen, cleans everything up around it. Try to break down this post planet long. Very difficult to do, but hold on. EU gets another. Oh, now just down to Valen. This will feel familiar. Yep, he gets the 2 again. M80, little YOLO play towards C. Paranoia right across the Rolling Thunder. Nobody checks Tex in the corner. He dashes across, and oh my goodness, he gets up close and personal with John Cutie. Flash out, Jonah P gets a little bit side-blinded though.
They ripped M80 to shreds on Haven to tie the series. Bind would be up next, and the first half went in favor of M80 8-4. However, the Guards' attack side looked cerebral, as they were finding plants consistently to open the second half, winning 6 rounds in a row, the spike detonating in 5 of them.
But it's Tex for a 1v2 situation. Flash out, steps away from it, makes the contact, finds the first headhunter. No! Well, if they peek this, they may get punished. Xander getting 1 would be fine, but EU pops through, he finds 2 of his own. Xander's gonna have to wander his way in. A couple of the pre-fire shots are already in, but Koala Noob was looking to see if maybe he could catch Net on the other side.
M80 were able to bring themselves to 11 before the Guard reached map point.
Tries to follow up, but the Guard will battle back. 3v3 situation. Tex trying to work his way over, but it's Trent to strike first. Nismo from inside the site gets 2. Now it's just down to Trent, and he will fall. Overtime.
Nismo single-handedly shut down the Guard's burst onto B site to force overtime.
Unbelievably massive. Valen, first contact, he just taps at it, no worries. Here comes the follow-up. Tex, he's flashed and he finds the shot onto Xander. Oh no, not like this. All of a sudden we're down to a 2v2. Showstopper earned for Trent. Doesn't know where to spend it yet. John Cutie on the corner. He takes down EU instead though. Now the paint shell's re-earned. Timing not gonna earn out here. John Cutie would have to hop it right now, and he's not gonna be able to. Trent will technically clutch it up for the Guard, who take...
The Guard battled back all the way down from 8-4 to capture map 3. The 2 teams would now head into Pearl, with M80's tournament life on the line.
Indeed we do. M80 finally able to get in on the plant. Hunter's free though, comes in from Trent. Net finds a frag, and things are looking dangerous.
Wow. What a good play from the Guard. And it all just, how much of this results in the fragment not landing. Now it's down to Xander versus Tex. 1v1 situation. Xander queues it up, but bang! Tex finds him with the op, and that's 6-3 to the guard.
Koala pops the ult. Look at the aggression defensively.
Oh, Tex in a little bit of trouble here. Koala maybe looking for more, and he finds it. Oh my, Trent Stoush tries to touch timing, but that won't work out. Only gets the one trade. Valen trying to create a line in the sand for this defense to get into position, but there really is no one left.
Wow.
After a solid defensive half from the guard, M80 seemed to be in trouble going into the second half.
And look at what Tex has done in the meantime.
Respect this, yeah. Oh, over the top. Lots of damage. Exchange. Oh my goodness. And then Valen follows up with a second. Fragment down. Valen getting a lot of damage his way. DM for Valen. Trent finds some success on his side, but it's only marginal. Down to Jonah P. It's the first, but no. The follow-up from EU from behind is good at M80. Get back on the winning side. Will be unmatched this time around. Early, Null Command being spent by Jonah P. Flashes to follow, and Tex just dashes right on in, finds the first blood. And then backs out where he finds Koala Noob waiting for him. Holy! Plant will extend the clock. Koala Noob! Ho, ho, ho! First opportunity from Valen works out. Xander holding close. Actually, the fragment is a problematic part, but oh, he gets behind the play. And just like that, opening first blood countered in numbers with M80, but the secondary fight rings out, and it's Valen who gets the guard to championship point. Follow-up from Nizzle from behind. Oh, they're going to find a couple of trades. To the 3v3 we go. Jonah P, Net trying to hang on. Pinstripe goes to kill feed. Shock Dart chips away at EU, but the health pull for Net is what's most critical at the moment. Time becoming an issue. Shock Dart sent out preemptively. No one home. Start gets placed. It's a Nebula. EU tries to hang on to it, but no! It's Trent to find the final kill! It's been 471 days since the rookies made it to Reykjavik, but today is the day where veterans qualify.
The guard had done it. After all this time, they returned to LAN and earned the opportunity to compete in the VCT Americas League. Before we talk about them though, we cannot simply skip over M80. This loss was no doubt devastating for them. Despite the loss, the players of M80 had proved themselves to be bright spots in NA Valorant, and we're likely to see some of them make the Partnership League, regardless of the team's loss here. But they fell just short at the Ascension tournament. It's truly a shame that only one team could walk out with the victory. With that being said, we have to talk about the victor, the guard. The guard looked spectacular throughout the tournament, dropping just 2 of 13 total maps played. While the team as a whole looked amazing, Tex especially impressed, going plus 31 in first kills to first deaths. His opening picks would put the guard into so many advantageous positions, opening up calling completely for Valen. Trent was far and away the best player at the tournament, finishing as the highest rated player at the tournament, as well as averaging the highest ACS despite playing primarily supportive roles. Net also fragged out of his mind and was an absolute spark plug for this team. You can hear him yelling after nearly every round the team won. Jonah P once more proved that he is an exceptional support player, not only because his util usage is fantastic, but he is truly a Swiss Army knife for Valen to utilize. Speaking of Valen, his leadership cannot be understated. His skill as an IGL, his emotional maturity, and his leadership that he demonstrates has made him the heartbeat of this team. The decision for this squad to stick together despite franchising offers was the ultimate risk, but in the end, it paid off. They didn't just reach franchising, they did it on their terms.